Hello, I'm Van with Beckard. I'm here with Keith today. We're going to look at two different fences. We hear a lot of people talk about using low carbon for a fence as well as high tensile, Keith.
Yep.
So we want to do some comparisons, show you what the difference between those two products are.
Van, I get it. I understand why people say they want to use low carbon. And this top strand that we have is 12.5 gauge low carbon. It's easy to bend, it's very pliable, easy to tie, easy to work with.
That's right, Keith. And you know, the high tensile is a little bit stiffer, a little bit more difficult to work with. But what you'll see is over time, you're going to have lower maintenance with it.
Absolutely.
You don't get the elongation
Absolutely.
factor with that product. So even though it's a little more difficult to work with up front, you're going to have a stronger wire and one with less maintenance. You're not going to get that elongation. When you get pressure, snow load, things like that on the fence, you're not going to have to come back and try to retension it year after year.
This is really in my wheelhouse. I came from galvanizing originally and running machines, so I understand fence dynamics very, very well. And I don't even put up or demonstrate low carbon anymore, Van. And I think this test that we're gonna run is gonna show that. We're gonna just show what kind of loads that you can put on this fence and how they're gonna react to those loads. And I think this is a great comparison. It's apples to apples, 12.5 gauge low carbon on top, 12.5 gauge high tensile on the bottom. We've got some pull scales set up, so that will really let us know how these fences are reacting to these loads that we're putting them on. Personally, I think that we're gonna see this low carbon start to stretch out very, very quickly, and then we're gonna see this high tensile just gain in weight as we crank on these pullers.
Okay, Keith, we'll go ahead and get started. If you want to go around,
Sure.
I'll come over and watch your gauges for you.
Absolutely. Let's just work on this low carbon first. We know where this product is going to break, and this gauge is just going to show us how it reacts to a load.
All right, you just crossed 200. You're probably 240 pounds.
Okay.
Now you're at just shy of 400.
Just shy of 400.
Yeah.
Let's go just a little bit more, Van.
Okay. Just over 400, probably 440.
Now, I just took a full rotation, so that may mean that this fence is already stretching. So let's catch this puller up here and see what the high tensile's doing.
All right, you're just over 400.
Okay, let's turn it one more time.
That puts you just over 600.
So one rotation, we went from 400 to 600. So where are we at on the low carbon?
Just below 400 now.
So if you're apples to apples, we rotate this over one time, we should get to 600.
That's right.
So let's see where we get.
And you're back to just barely over 400 again.
So
about
we just
420.
pulled a couple more inches out of that fence and we didn't gain any pressure. So that tells me that wire's already stretching.
Yep, you're definitely in the elongation factor. And this is where you really start to see the difference and where the high tensile products come in and really show off their strength and the lack of elongation. So as we take loads on that fence, it's gonna hold up year after year. You're not gonna be back on that fence every spring having to tighten it up from snow load.
Well, let's put one more on that high tensile and see where we go. I mean, we're holding over 600 pounds.
Okay.
So. And I'm having to get after it now.
Yep. Jumped to 840 roughly.
I'm a pretty big guy, but that's getting up there.
Yep.
Man, so still holding about 400?
Yes.
We need to get that up. I mean, that high tensile is outperforming for
Yep.
sure.
Maybe 20 pounds. It's probably
Maybe 20 pounds.
Yeah,
We gained,
let's say 450.
and we gained 200 on the last rotation on the high tensile.
Yep.
That pretty much tells me that that fence is in the elongation point. And what happens when that fence starts to elongate, starts to get smaller, starts to stretch, the next thing, that fence is gonna break.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and put one more on it and see what happens. I'm not gonna lay out here too much because I'm afraid I may break this fence, so. Coming up any?
No change.
No change.
No change.
Well, let's give it one more. Let's see what happens.
Came up 20 pounds again. 20,
So
30
this fence
pounds.
is just sitting here and stretching, and stretching. So if we were to put this fence up when it's nice and hot here in Arkansas, this winter when it drops down close to 0 and it starts to contract, that fence is just going to sit here and stretch. So next summer, it can't react. It's going to be slack for sure.
Yep.
So we're still sitting at 800 on the high tensile.
Yes, over 800.
And we've ran way past it on the low carbon.
Yeah.
So let's grab another one.
Just shy of 1,000 pounds.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Mhm.
I ran that high tensile or that low carbon product 2 or 3 rotations on that stretcher, and it's just sitting there stretching. We're not gaining anything. We're gaining almost 200 pounds per revolution on those pullers.
You are, and as I'm sitting here watching the gauge, you're back down to almost 400 on the low carbon. So it's sit here
It's
and
sitting here
stretch
stretching.
while we're standing.
So let's just put a little impact on that low
Yep.
carbon.
You're below 300 pounds.
Okay. So now let's put a little impact on that high tensile van
Okay.
and see what happens. Well, maybe I'm going to put some impact on it.
It came up maybe 100 pounds, but it's still staying exactly the same.
So
I don't
no
think it's
stretch.
gave up any.
So I was able to stretch the low carbon without even pulling on the stretcher bar, just
Yep.
simply by putting replicated animal impact.
Yep.
And that would have been a small animal.
Small animal. But you know, that's really a good indicator of how this fence is going to hold up, because we see a lot of animals will come up, especially during dry seasons. Your grass gets low, they come up and put pressure on that fence trying to reach through into the ditch line and get grass.
Yeah.
So that would be a good indicator, but when they do that, that fence is going to stretch, and then you're going to have sag, and then that's going to be, you know, cows will continue to do it and make that situation worse and worse.
So let's say the weather was to warm up and this fence is going to relax just a little.
Yep.
What's going to happen if we take just a little bit off that low carbon?
And
One rotation.
you're maybe below 100 pounds.
Yeah,
Maybe
Because
100.
now we have a
Yeah.
slack fence.
Yep.
Now, let's drop that same one rotation on the high tensile and see what happens. Maybe you may have to grab this dog and release it. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, we dropped one on the high tensile.
Yep. So we dropped 750, a little below 800.
A little below 800.
Yeah.
That's still not a slack fence.
No.
Man, I say we call this one done.
I think so, and that shows you how, or the difference between a low carbon and high tensile fence. That high tensile fence is going to give you year after year of service, regardless of animal pressure, snow load on it. It's going to continue to hold up for you.
Guys, if you like to see these videos where Van and I actually put data behind some of these theories, let us know in the comments and we can do more of these. We can.
Yep, absolutely. And guys, if you like these videos, you can go to fencing.beckart.com, check them out. Also check out all the Beckart products we have there, installation videos, fence calculator, a lot of resources for you when you're getting ready to build your fence.
Sure. When it comes time to purchase your fencing products for your next fencing project, check us out. Beckart, made in the USA.
Thanks for watching.